So I'm going to pick up with video number 2. In this video, I will be demonstrating how I make my spaghetti sauce, and we will be adding the delicious, juicy meatballs to the spaghetti sauce. Now, I don't go to a lot of trouble making it from scratch. I do use the spaghetti sauce that's in the jar, but you can feel free to use tomato sauce and tomato paste and make it homemade and make it as much from scratch as you want to. But I'm just going to use some quick cuts today, and let's get busy. So we're going to start out with my Trinity in the Pope. Now I have my big old pot because I want to make sure that I don't use too small of a pot and everything gets all run over and a big mess on Jill's stove. So to my pot, I'm going to add some olive oil. Oh, I don't know how much it is. Probably 1/8 of a cup. Y'all know I'm not that great at measuring stuff. So let's go ahead and get the olive oil heated up. Now to this, I will be adding my Trinity in the Pope. Now I have 2 diced white onions, about 7 cloves of garlic. I have 1 green pepper. I have about 3 stalks of celery. And then I threw in about 1/2 of a red pepper and orange and yellow, just some little slices of pepper that I still had in the refrigerator left over. So as soon as my olive oil gets hot, we're going to just kind of, I guess the word is saute, but we don't want to brown it because I'm going to let it boil in the spaghetti sauce for a couple of hours and just let the sauce absorb all of these delicious flavors. So that's my Trinity and the Pope, and then I'm going to be adding my Angel to that, which is my the rest of my parsley. This smells good, y'all. And then I have my spices here. I just kind of mixed, I just threw in a teaspoon of salt, not a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of the Tony Chachere's Creole Seasoning, which has salt in it. And then I put a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of garlic powder, and just a couple of dashes of turmeric and a couple of dashes of paprika. So we will add that to the spaghetti sauce. And then for my sauce, I'm going to use the ragu chunky. I will be adding that to this. We're just going to let it cook for a couple of hours, and I'll throw my meatballs in there. Now, like I said, I did overcook the first batch of meatballs. These I cooked for 20 minutes on 425, and they really got a little dried out. So I'm not too happy with that. But the second batch, I did, I cooked them at 425 for 15 minutes. Because all you really want is just for them to firm up on the outside. Now, if you don't want to heat up your kitchen by turning your oven on real hot and everything, of course you can just brown them in a skillet. But make sure you use a splatter screen on top of it, because you don't want grease splattered all over your stove. Jill has a nice, beautiful gas stove with 5 burners on it, and even though it's beautiful and it cooks well, it is difficult to clean. It's almost like a professional stove. Which, Lord, I had to clean that Viking professional stove when I worked for Dr. Corruption and the Devil Wife. I think that thing had 8 burners on it. And it seemed like whenever the Devil Wife cooked, she used every burner. I think she did it just to piss me off, to make me work harder for the $100 a day that she was paying me. Anyway, let's see if that olive oil is hot enough, and if it is, we will start. Yep, it sure is. So I'm going to dump in my Trinity in the Pope. Ooh, it's almost too hot. I see it a-smoking. I hadn't seen anything a-smoking since I divorced John L. Sullivan and used to go out clubbing in my tight dresses and all made up, fixed up, and thought I was hot stuff. That didn't last long, though. I grew tired of that real quick. thought I was smoking hot, whether I was or not. Never did find a decent man. You know, back in those days, you didn't have Twitter and Tinder and Bumble and all of these different apps to meet a man. You had to either meet somebody at work or somebody at a nightclub. So we lived in Bevel, Illinois, and that's where I divorced John. So I did kind of venture out. There was a nightclub at the, it was a hotel there, probably the Ramada Inn, I think. And there was a nightclub called Corvettes. And they played really good music, you know, and that was the early 90s with all the hair bands, what they call the big hair bands with all of their music and everything. So I did go out and dance and have some good times. But it wasn't long, though, that I was transferred to Orlando, Florida. And I was the manager of the Social Security Disability Claims Office there. And it was a very demanding job, and there was not any time to do any partying. So I'm just going to sweat this a little bit. Just want it to kind of tenderize just a little bit. So I have been wanting to tell y'all some more about Mr. Crusty Feet and the trophy wife. Now the reason I call him Mr. Crusty Feet is when we were at the house down in La Valette and he was padding around barefooted, y'all, one day I looked down and his feet had a layer of crust around the heel. The entire foot had a layer of crust an inch thick. Oh my God. And I'm thinking, how in the world can this trophy wife go to bed with this man with all this crust on his feet? Ugh. It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, I reckon she did hook up with him for the money. That was very obvious. And I don't know if I told y'all this, but the only thing that the trophy wife would eat was Doritos, ranch-flavored Doritos, and Hershey bars. I mean, even Mr. Crusty Feet told me one day, that's all she eats, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they would go to Costco and just buy cases and cases of it. You know, and I don't think I ever did see her eat a nutritious meal. It was just always the Starbucks Mucilatis and the Hershey bars and the Doritos ranch-flavored chips. So let's see if this is sweating down a little bit. Yeah. Although this burner is, I probably should have it on the back burner, but it's kind of hard for me to reach back there. So that's why I have it on the front burner. So let me just go ahead and add my seasonings to this. I just found that it's easier just to mix everything together. I will leave the instructions in the description box below, and y'all just feel free to go in there and take a screenshot of it and use it and alter it to your taste and your family's taste. So we're just going to let this saute for just a few minutes, and then we'll add all the other ingredients. So anyway, Mr. Crusty Feet, we were going into December. So Mr. Crusty Feet wanted to take his new bride-to-be to meet his parents, and they lived in Boston. So we packed up the kids and got in the BMW with the dirty windshield and the dirty car and all the filth, and no washer fluid in the washer fluid compartment. And we drove to Boston, and we stayed at his parents' house, and they were very elderly, but they still, you know, they were independent and still got around on their own and everything. So Mr. Crusty Feet, well, his father was going to the grocery store, so of course they had to have the Nestle's Quick for the children, because the 2-year-old drank the Nestle's Quick in his bottle every morning and during the day, and then the 4-year-old, Max and Ruby, she drank it in her little sippy cup. So they sent the father to the grocery store to get the cocoa powder. Of course, you know, he was older and probably didn't know anything about cocoa, so what does he bring home? Hershey's cocoa. So then Mr. Krusty Feet ended up having to go to the grocery store anyway and get the Nestle's Quick. But while we were there, her sister, the trophy wife, had a sister. I can't remember her name. Jessie. I think her name was Aunt Jessie. So they lived in Massachusetts, her and her husband and kids. So they came to visit us. So she started asking me questions about the relationship. You know, did I know how they met and everything? And I said, well, yeah. They met on sugardaddy.com. I mean, it's the truth. Why would I make up something and lie about it? So she went back and told Mr. Krusty Feet and the trophy wife that I had told her where they had met. Well, Mr. Krusty Feet, he comes out of the back room and he goes, I'm livid! I'm livid! Why did you tell her we met on sugardaddy.com? And I said, well, that's, you know, my friend Tracy, she's the one that told me that you had met her on sugardaddy.com, so, you know, and that you had met the trophy wife there. So then he calls my friend up and cusses her out for telling me that he had met her on sugardaddy.com. So she calls me on my cell phone just crying and crying. And I said, well, you know, I didn't know not to tell. I mean, it's the truth, isn't it? Oh, it was just crazy, y'all. Ooh, this is smelling good and looking good. So then we ended up, while we were there, we went to Cheers, where the Cheers was filmed, and we had dinner there, or drinks. I think we probably had appetizers. And then we took the children to the aquarium there in Boston. So we ended up having a good time after all. So to this, I'm going to start adding my pasta sauce. You can see I just let the veggies sweat a little bit. I don't want them to brown. I just want them to just tenderize a little bit, and then I'm going to add the pasta sauce to this and just let everything cook together. So let's go ahead and add the ragu. Not sure how much water I'm going to add. 2 jars of ragu. I will at least wash the jars out with some water. So let me add a little water. I don't want to waste any of that sauce. Oh, Lordy, y'all, that pepper's got my nose itching and burning. But like I said, my mama, she would never let me get in the kitchen and learn how to cook, but I do remember her making pasta sauce with those cans of contadina tomato paste and tomato sauce. I think back in the day all they had was contadina and maybe Hunt's. So that's my 2 jars of pasta sauce. Ragu or whatever they have on sale is going to be good, and good for your pocketbook too. And then I'm going to add a can of diced tomatoes. And I'll add a can of water. Now you can use diced tomatoes, whole tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, you know, just whatever you want to use. And it's still fairly thick. Of course, you want your tomato sauce, your pasta sauce to be thick. But I'm going to let this cook a couple of hours, so it's going to thicken up as it cooks. And of course, my old standby is chicken broth. I do believe in the flavoring of chicken broth. And I will add a can of water to it. So I'm just going to let this get hot, and then I'm going to add my meatballs to this mixture. I have about 4 portobello mushrooms that I sliced. Let's add those to it. This is totally optional, y'all. And then I have my angel wings, which I will be adding. Let me turn this burner up because I want to get it to boiling. It's smelling good already, y'all. Then I will add my angel wings to it. Let me chop up my parsley a little bit. I'll talk to y'all some more. This is just a handful of parsley. It's just what I have left. Y'all know that I'm very, not very strict when it comes to measuring ingredients. I don't really think you can have too much of anything, especially a good thing as fresh vegetables. So anyway, we did, visit with Mr. Krusty Feet's Greek parents there in Boston. They were a very nice older couple. And then after that, we came home because they decided that they wanted to spend Christmas at the beach home. But they were so busy, her going on photo shoots and photo calls and things like that, trying her best to get a job modeling. I don't think she ever did get a job because it wasn't even a modeling agency. It was one of these fly-by-night places that rents an office building in a high-rise there in Manhattan. And they get you in there to do a portfolio. So they get you in there and they have you do all these different modeling pictures and everything, and then they claim that they will get you a job. But they did send her on a couple of lingerie modeling gigs, but nothing ever came of it that I know of. So we ended up going back to the house down at the Jersey Shore. Let me add my angel wings. And we did spend Christmas there. And I have 2 bay leaves I'm going to throw in here. So, by then, we still had the one dog because Lucy had disappeared, ran away, or she got stolen or something. So we still had the one dog, and then Max and Ruby. And it was very hard. It was a very difficult job. She, I had to do all the house cleaning, taking care of the children, all of their laundry, the trophy wife's laundry, and Mr. Krusty Feet's laundry. So she had there was no laundry baskets there. So I would gather up all the laundry out of the bedrooms and then take it into the laundry room and throw it down on the floor. So the trophy wife decided to get a chalkboard to write notes on it for me. So every morning I had to look at the chalkboard to see what her instructions were. And so one of her instructions was, do not put my clothes on that hard, cold concrete floor. I'm thinking, well, where am I supposed to put them? There are no laundry baskets here. Oh, Lordy. So to this, I'm going to add my dash of Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce. And we will add a little bit of Tabasco sauce to kick it up a little bit. Add some kick to it. Okay. So this is what my spaghetti sauce is looking like. Now I'm going to add my meatballs to this mixture, and then we'll let this simmer for about an hour, and then we'll be back and taste it, and then I can upload this video number 2. So let me throw in my meatballs with the juice that has leaked out of them, which isn't much because this is the batch that I overcooked. So y'all don't do like Glenda Merle does and overcook your meatballs. That even this batch at 15 minutes looks a little overcooked. But it's okay. I ain't going to beat myself up about it because you can't undo something that's already been done. What is the old saying? You can't unring a bell. Y'all, I had to take my gloves off to get these rolled out, so I just left them off. I was not doing a very good job rolling them with those vinyl gloves on. Well, the good thing about lining it with tin foil is my pan is still clean. Yay! Okie doke, I'm going to let this cook for about an hour and we'll be back for a taste test. So this is what it looks like. It is still fairly thin. It does have to cook at least another hour, but I want to get my video 2 of 2 posted. So I went ahead and dipped out a little bit of it so that I can at least taste it and let y'all know what my southern homemade meatballs and spaghetti sauce tastes like. Good old country bumpkin style. So I got my meatball here. Oh, and they are so tender, y'all. It's all I can do to keep it from falling apart. Smells good too. Y'all, it is bursting with deliciousness. Bursting with flavor. Ooh, I can't hardly pick my bowl up, but I want to get a fork full of it with the spaghetti. Now I just boiled up a 1 pound package of thin spaghetti, but you can serve it over whatever kind of pasta you like. Be it vegetable pasta or even macaroni. The little elbow macaronis would be good. So you can see the peppers and all haven't cooked down enough, but I know y'all have watched part 1 and you're waiting on part 2, so I got to get the ball rolling. Can't be lollygagging along any longer. It's delicious, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to go sit down and enjoy this, but first, I want to tell y'all that my children are on the front lines of fighting this virus. As y'all all know, Jill is a nurse, so she will be, subjected to treating patients who are sick with the coronavirus. So I'm sure that we will all be exposed to it, and I hate to say this, but I do expect that. I mean, even with her wearing protective gear, they say that it can live on surfaces even after you've touched the surface, it can still live on your clothes. So even though she's wearing all the protective gear, I still fear for her that she will get it and that she may bring it home to me and the children and her husband. And also my son Jason, he works for the largest courier company in Central Florida, and he is not making deliveries to Disney World this week. He's making medical supply deliveries to hospitals, doctors' offices, and nursing homes, and even to doctors' homes. So y'all please pray for Jill and Jason, that God would keep them safe and protect them from this coronavirus. And I just pray for our country. And please just remember us in your prayers, and I will remember you in my prayers. So I want you to know how much I love you and how much I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today to sit down and watch Glenda Sully videos. I know I kind of loaded you up with 2 of them today, but I'm making up for lost time. So I want you to know how much I love you and how much I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And y'all please give me a thumbs up and share my videos. And y'all just keep on coming back. Bye, guys.